Most people have been taught the wrong lesson about love, attraction, and what really makes someone stay. They think being unforgettable is about looking perfect, sounding perfect, moving the right way, and giving someone a moment they cannot stop thinking about. But that is surface, that is performance, and performance fades fast. What truly stays in a person's mind is not the scene, it is the feeling, it is the energy. It is the way they felt seen when their guard was down. That is what leaves a mark. That is what follows them home. And if you are here right now, really listening, then stay with me, because this might change the way you carry yourself in every relationship from this point on. Hit like if you feel the truth already. Subscribe if you are done with shallow advice, because this is not about tricks. It is not about acting. It is about presence, real presence. The kind that walks into a room and changes the air without raising its voice. Imagine this. You are close to someone. Very close. The world outside goes quiet. Their body is near you, but their mind is still full of noise, doubt, pressure, fear, questions they never say out loud. And then instead of trying to impress them, instead of trying to keep up a role, you slow down. You look at them with calm in your eyes and certainty in your voice. That is the moment everything changes. Because people may forget what you wore, they may forget the details, but they do not forget the moment they felt safe enough to drop the mask and be real. That is the beginning of being unforgettable, not when you perform, when you reveal. The first shift is simple, but powerful. Stop thinking your value begins when someone chooses you. It does not. Your value begins when you choose how you show up. That changes everything. Anyone can offer attention. Anyone can offer chemistry, but not everyone can offer presence. Not everyone knows how to stand in their own energy and make a moment feel honest, deep, and rare. That is the difference. So picture this. You are in front of someone who wants access to you, your time, your softness, your private world, your truth. Before you rush to give, you pause. Not to play games, not to create tension for effect, but to remember who you are. And from that grounded place, you let your energy speak before your body ever does. You let your calm say what panic never could. You let your self-respect shape the tone of the moment. And if you say anything at all, let it be something real. Something like, I do not just let people close to me, I let them see me. Simple words, but heavy. Because those words carry standards. Those words carry soul. They tell the other person this is not random, not careless, not empty. This means something. And people remember meaning. They remember the one who made them slow down and feel the weight of the moment. If that hits you, stay with me, because it gets deeper. The truth is, most connections fail because people are trying to be chosen instead of trying to be true. They shape themselves into what they think will be loved. They become easy to consume and hard to respect. But when you stop shrinking yourself into a performance, something changes. You become clear. You become steady. You become the kind of presence that does not chase intensity because it carries depth. And depth always lasts longer than intensity, always. Now here is where it gets real. When someone is close to you, really close, their truth starts to show whether they mean for it to or not. You can hear it in the pauses. You can feel it in the way they respond to silence. You can see it in whether they are present or distracted, warm or guarded, grounded or restless. People reveal themselves in closeness, not just through words, but through energy, through rhythm, through where their attention goes when nothing is scripted. And if you are awake in that moment, you will notice more than most people do. You will feel who they are beneath the charm. That is why your words matter. Not many words, the right words, honest words, clear words. If you want to shift the entire emotional temperature of a moment, say something that reflects truth instead of performance. Say, the way you show up tells me a lot about who you are. That line does not attack. It does not flatter. It reveals. It quietly lets them know this moment is being felt, not acted out. And when someone realizes they are being truly felt, not just watched, not just entertained, something inside them wakes up. Because most people go through life unseen. They are reacted to, judged, desired, used, praised, but rarely understood, rarely reflected back to themselves in a way that feels clean and undeniable. That is why depth has power. It does not scream, it lands. And if you have ever wondered why some people become unforgettable without trying so hard, this is why. They do not flood the moment with noise. They bring awareness into it. They become a mirror, not a cruel mirror, a clear one that says, I see what is here, I feel what is here, and I am not afraid of truth. Keep listening, because the next part is what most people never learn. Being deeply connected does not mean losing your center. It means keeping it, even while your heart is open. There is something else people crave more than excitement, though many do not know how to say it. They crave emotional safety. Not boredom, not passivity, safety. The kind that lets them soften without fear of being mocked, tested, or made small. The kind that lets them breathe. And when someone feels that with you, they remember it deeply. Because the world trains people to stay guarded, to act strong, to hide need, to hide pain, to hide the little voice inside that still wonders if they are enough. So when you become the person who brings calm instead of pressure, truth instead of performance, presence instead of chaos, you stand out immediately. Imagine being close to someone and sensing the tension under their confidence, the quiet effort, the need to get it right, the fear of not measuring up. Most people ignore that. Some people even use it. But a wise person does something different. They speak peace into it. They say, you do not have to prove anything to me. Do you hear how powerful that is? No drama, no speech, no long explanation, just release, just space, just the permission to stop performing for 1 second and simply be. Those are the moments people replay later, not because the line was clever, because it touched a wound they rarely show the world. And let me tell you something important. The person who calms what others trigger becomes unforgettable. The person who makes someone feel less alone inside themselves leaves a mark that is hard to replace. This is why softness is not weakness. Real softness takes strength. It takes self-control. It takes awareness. It takes a grounded spirit to speak gently in a world that only respects force. So if you want a connection that lasts longer than attraction, learn to create relief, learn to create peace, learn to let your presence say, you can put the armor down here. That kind of energy does not beg to be remembered. It is remembered automatically. And here is where most people miss the whole thing. They think connection is built by saying more praise, more noise, more reaction, more words just to fill the air. But some of the deepest moments in life are shaped by restraint, by silence that breathes, by words that arrive slowly and mean something when they land. Fast talk can entertain. Slow truth transforms. Let that sink in. If you are always rushing to speak, rushing to explain, rushing to reassure, rushing to keep the moment alive, you miss the power of stillness. Stillness is where people start to feel. Stillness is where truth gets loud. Imagine a quiet moment with someone, no distractions, no performance, no rush, just the weight of what is real between you. And then, instead of overwhelming the moment, you offer one line that carries actual meaning. It is not what you do that moves me. It is how you are when you are with me. That changes the frame completely, because now the focus is not on proving, it is on being. Not on technique, on essence, not on impressing, on presence. And presence is what echoes. Presence is what lingers after the room goes quiet. This is the part of the video where a lot of people click off because they want quick formulas. But if you are still here, you already know quick formulas do not build deep bonds. They build short-lived reactions. So stay with me, because this matters. The slower the words, the deeper the imprint. Not because slow is dramatic, because slow gives truth room to land. It gives the other person time to receive, time to feel, time to recognize that what is happening is different from the usual script. And the usual script is exactly what people are tired of. They are tired of fake depth, tired of rehearsed lines, tired of chemistry with no meaning. So if you want to be rare, stop flooding the moment. Let it breathe. Let your calm become part of the experience. Let your words arrive like they belong there. Because the right sentence, spoken at the right time, can do more than 1,000 empty ones ever could. There is also a deeper layer most people never talk about. Everyone carries a hidden fear, even the strongest looking person in the room, even the calm one, even the confident one. Somewhere inside, there is a younger part still asking silent questions. Am I enough? Am I wanted for who I am? Can I relax here? Will the thirst be seen or judged? And no, you are not responsible for fixing anyone. That is not your job. but you can choose whether your presence adds more pressure or offers a little healing. That choice matters, because some people are used to relationships that only pull from them. More proving, more chasing, more guessing, more emotional labor with very little rest. So when you become someone who sees the tension without naming it cruelly, who feels the insecurity without turning it into power, you become a very rare kind of connection. Imagine sensing that hidden strain in someone and simply saying, "You can exhale. You do not need to earn this moment." That is not manipulation. That is emotional maturity. That is what it sounds like when someone has done enough inner work to stop feeding fear and start creating safety. And the truth is, people are drawn to where they can breathe. They stay where they can be real. They remember where they felt accepted without being handled. If this message is opening something in you, do not just listen. Let it challenge you. Ask yourself how often you speak from fear instead of truth. How often you try to keep attention instead of deepen connection. How often you feel silence because you are scared of what stillness might reveal. Because stillness reveals everything. It reveals whether the bond is real, whether the energy is mutual, whether your presence is grounded or reaching. And once you learn to stop reaching, you become magnetic in a very different way. Not loud, not flashy, just undeniable. People feel the difference. They may not even have words for it, but they feel it. Now let me give you one of the biggest shifts of all. Stop trying to be unforgettable by being exciting. Start becoming unforgettable by being revealing. Not revealing everything. Not oversharing. Not spilling your soul to anyone who pays attention. I mean revealing truth at the right moment in the right way. That is what changes people. Most connections stay shallow because both people are hiding inside roles. The cool one, the mysterious one, the strong one, the easy one, the unbothered one. But roles do not create real bonds. They create confusion, distance, and fantasy. If you want something deeper, someone has to bring honesty into the room. Someone has to speak from the center instead of the mask. That is why a simple line can hit so hard when it is sincere. Something like, "This moment matters to me because it feels real." That is it. No poetry contest. No forced cleverness. Just truth. And truth has weight. Truth breaks scripts. Truth stops people in their tracks because so much of modern connection is built on image, speed, and half feelings. When you bring honesty into closeness, you become memorable because you are no longer just another face, another body, another passing rush. You become the person connected to a feeling of realness, and realness is rare now, very rare. Watch until the end because the next part is where lasting memory is actually formed. Not in the peak, in what comes after, in the quiet, in the soft reset after intensity. That is where people tell themselves the story of what just happened. And whatever story gets written there tends to stay. So if the moment is real, honor it. Do not rush away from it. Do not cheapen it with small talk. Do not hide from the tenderness of it. Let the moment settle. Let it become something. Because meaning needs a second to land, and too many people run before it does. What you say after a deep moment matters more than most people realize. In fact, sometimes it matters more than everything that came before it. Why? Because after intensity, people are open in a different way. The noise drops, the ego softens, the body settles, the defenses are lower. That is when words can move from the surface to the memory. So many people waste that window. They get awkward, they retreat, they joke too fast. They disconnect before the moment has a chance to become real. But if you understand emotional timing, you know that afterglow is not empty space. It is sacred space. It is the place where the emotional meaning of the moment gets sealed. Imagine resting in that quiet, letting the world come back slowly, and then saying something honest like, "There is something in me that feels different around you, and I do not say that lightly." Feel the difference in that. It is not clingy. It is not dramatic. It is not a trap. It is an observation, a truth, a recognition. And recognition changes people because deep down, everyone wants to know they brought something real out of another person. Not just attention, not just desire, something real, something meaningful, something that makes life feel more awake. That is why words spoken in the quiet stay longer. They are not fighting noise, they are entering open space. And open space remembers, if you are still with me, here is your reminder. Do not underestimate the power of a calm sentence said at the right time. Some people remember one honest line for years. Years. Not because it was perfect, but because it reached the exact part of them no one else had touched with care. That is how memory works. That is how attachment works. That is how certain people become landmarks in our emotional lives, not by trying to own us, by helping us feel more fully ourselves in their presence. And finally, this is the part almost nobody gets right. Real power in connection is not in making someone afraid to lose you. It is in being whole enough not to chase what has already been felt. That is maturity. That is magnetism. That is peace. When a moment has been real, you do not have to force it into permanence. You do not have to grip it so tightly that it breaks. You do not have to turn closeness into control. You let it breathe. You let it stand. You trust what was true without rushing to secure it with fear. Imagine ending a beautiful moment, and instead of clinging, instead of trying to make promises rise out of emotion, you offer something spacious and strong. Something like, "I see what this is, and I do not need to force it to make it real." That line carries freedom. It carries self-respect. It carries inner steadiness. And that steadiness is unforgettable because most people are ruled by fear. Fear of loss, fear of silence, fear of not being chosen again. But when someone meets a person who can feel deeply without grasping, who can care without collapsing, who can be present without becoming needy, they remember that, they respect that. Sometimes they are changed by that. So this is what it all comes down to. Being unforgettable is not about seduction tricks. It is not about saying the perfect line. It is not about creating obsession. It is about becoming so present, so honest, so grounded that your energy leaves people more awake than it found them. That is rare. That is powerful. That is what stays. If this spoke to you, take a second and let it sink in. Like the video if you want more writing in this style. Subscribe if you are ready for deeper, cleaner, stronger relationship content. And remember this on your way out. Do not move to impress. Move with meaning. Do not speak to fill space. Speak to reveal truth. Do not give people a performance they will forget by morning. Give them a presence they will feel long after the moment is over. That is how you become unforgettable without losing yourself in the process. And here is the final layer that separates temporary attraction from lasting impact. After the words, after the closeness, after the silence settles, life begins again. Calls return. Duties return, noise returns. That is where your energy is tested, because anyone can sound deep in a moment. Very few can stay centered after it. Do not rush to chase reassurance. Do not break your own peace trying to decode every message, every pause, every small shift in tone. Stay rooted. Let your presence remain consistent. Let your calm become the proof of everything you said without saying another word. The deepest kind of confidence is quiet. It does not beg for confirmation. It does not panic when the room gets still. It knows what was real, and it does not need to force a result to feel valuable. That is the energy people remember. Not just warmth, but steadiness. Not just passion, but self-respect. And when someone feels that from you, they begin to understand that your value was never in how hard you tried to keep them. Your value was in how fully you knew yourself while they were with you. That is rare now, very rare. So carry this with you. Be kind, but do not shrink. Be open, but do not abandon yourself. Be present, but do not lose your center. Let your words mean something because they come from somewhere real. Let your silence mean something too. And above all, let every connection remind you of this truth. The right energy does not leave you confused, empty, or small. It leaves you clearer, stronger, and more at home in your own spirit. That is the kind of presence no one forgets.